is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Weapon Collective. My name's Jeff, and once again down in the Gat Cave, but this video is going to be a little bit different because recently I was thinking about content and I started reflecting on my early days getting into guns. And I learned so much watching YouTube, hanging out at gun shops, talking to people that work there, and a big part was just taking a gun, taking it apart, and figuring out how it worked to the best of my ability and then trying to put it back together. Most of the time I succeeded. Sometimes I got stuck and required a little help, but YouTube usually could come to the rescue. There was usually some video that could fix the problem I'd got myself into. And YouTube is an awesome tool for that. There's so much information available on the platform. But also, I learned a ton just from watching gun tubers and what they had to say. But often, they would use terms or talk about a weapon platform or something that I was not familiar with. And they just said it in passing as if I should know, and I'd have to go seek out that information on my own. So that being such a big tool for me, I thought I'm going to come out with a little series for the new guy that is just getting into this gun stuff just like I was, has all the passion and ambition, has the absolute bug for the firearms, but is still just getting started on that journey and learning. So I figured I'm going to put out a little series for the new guy called New School. And it's just going to be very basic, short videos that kind of just go over one topic, break it down to in its most simplistic terms, and see where it goes. But this one, I'm going to start with the 2011 and kind of history of it, probably just because I'm so into the 2011 platform right now. But figured that was a good place to start. Maybe some of you out there know, maybe some of you don't, maybe some of you don't care. So this video may not be for everybody. But for those that want to learn, this video is New School, episode 2011. Okay, you can't get to the 2011 without first starting with this. 1911, so this is chambered in 45 ACP. It's a single action only, and it is a recoil operated semi-automatic pistol. This thing was designed by none other than John Moses Browning. He is from Utah, up north a little bit, but love that he's from Utah. And actually, the 1911 is Utah's state gun. Very cool to have that as our state gun. He designed this, started work on it in the late 1890s, and would make some changes and eventually settle on the 1911, which was adopted by the US military in none other than 1911. So the M1911, that is where it got its name. It was produced by Colt, and it served up until 1926 when they did some improvements to it and it became the M19A1. And that is kind of the pistol we have here for the most part. But it is, like I said, chambered in 45 ACP, single stack magazine, meaning all of the ammunition aligned vertically on top of each other. So it only holds 8 rounds of 45 ACP, which is not a lot of mag capacity, but it was in service all the way until 1985 when it was replaced by the 9mm Beretta M9. So this thing has an illustrious service career in the history. It is a true piece of Americana. One of the things that make it such a sweet gun is that trigger. It is phenomenal. And you know, when I look at this thing, it's amazing the simplicity of the parts involved in making up the gun, but it is more complex when you put them all together, and just one little tweak of a sear spring or something can definitely change the performance of the pistol. So it is an amazing, amazing design. And John Moses Browning was a true American badass. An amazing pistol, has a fantastic trigger, it's reliable, it's accurate, but it does have some downsides like mag capacity. And it is 45 ACP, so it's a larger round, so you can get about 8 rounds in this thing. Things were changing in the early 80s with competitive shooters wanting a reliable gun with a great trigger, but at the same time, they wanted more mag capacity, they wanted a lighter gun, and red dots were starting to come into the picture. So enter a man by the name of Virgil Tripp. He started Tripp Research. He was well known for making really great gun parts, and he started playing around with the idea of making a kind of a modular grip and frame for the 1911, leaving the upper part, the barrel, the slide, hammer, the firing mechanism, all that staying relatively the same, and tweaking that grip so you could gain more mag capacity. And he got to a point where he realized he needed somebody with some more advanced computer skills than he had to design this modular grip. And enter a man by the name of Sandy Strayer. So he came in and he joined the company. Virgil gave him basically co-patent, co-owner of the company, and they formed STI, Strayer Tripp International. And that is where the 2011 story really starts, with STI, because that is the company that launched the 2011 and came up with the patent on the modular two-piece frame and grip. And what they really came up with was essentially a gun like this. So it is, for all intents and purposes, the upper half is still a 1911, except the lower part, the grip and the frame, you get a magazine like this. It's a double stack magazine compared to this single stack magazine, meaning the ammunition is staggered, alternating rounds up. So you not only are moving to a 9mm round for the most part, there are 2011s chambered in 40, 45 ACP and so on, but more common that they're in 9. And this magazine holds 20 rounds as opposed to the 8 in the single stack. So you can see the big mag well on there, the big mag in that grip. So STI came up with the original 2011. May of 1994, the final patent for that modular grip was published. And then June of 94, Sandy Strayer leaves STI and goes and joins Michael Voigt and starts SVI, which is known today as Infinity. So they build these amazing guns, utilize that same grip, everything. And then after Sandy leaves, Virgil Tripp changes acronym of STI from Strayer Tripp International to Science, Technology, and Ingenuity. But the gun was already out in the world, competitive shooters were using it, and they were hooked. They liked the mag capacity, a lighter weight, but still retaining that fantastic trigger, reliability, accuracy. And from there, in 97, Tripp sells STI to a guy named Dave Skinner, and then basically it proceeds on until in 2020, STI becomes what we know today as Staccato. And that is the Staccato that we all know, we all love. The difference between, say, this and this is an Atlas, but this is technically a double stack 1911, and this is a 2011. And the only difference there is the name 2011 is owned by Staccato. Now, I know I mentioned that Sandy Strayer, who is with Infinity now, had co-patent, and this is something I haven't been able to find. I know that Staccato owns the name, but I don't know if Sandy and Infinity have any rights to 2011 as well. I don't see them referring to their guns as 2011s, but it's basically just turned into the common nomenclature for any double stack 1911. It's kind of like Kleenex and Q-tips. You know, those are brand names, but that's what we refer to the products as. They not swabs and tissue. We basically call them Kleenex and Q-tips. So very often people will refer to all double stack 1911s as 2011s, but technically, as far as I know, only Staccato owns the names. That's kind of the history of the 2011 in a nutshell. And if you didn't catch it, it's just 1911 and the next evolution, 2011. And that's where the name came from. It is one of my favorite weapons platforms that exists. I love shooting them. They are expensive, but they are some of the best quality, best shooting guns, in my opinion. So that was it for the history of the 2011. Okay, so that was the very first little episode of New School, and I'm gonna ask you guys to do me a huge favor. If you would, I wanna keep this going and see how, kind of test it out, see how it goes, see if people like it or not. Maybe they don't. But this isn't for everybody, like I said. It is for the new guys that are getting into this, trying to learn the basics, just like I was. I was searching YouTube, trying to find as much information as I could. And so what I'm going to ask of you guys is, anybody out there that is watching this, that's into this, please drop a comment down below and let me know what you want to see a New School episode on. What is it that you would like to hear a little more in-depth kind of explanation of some basics? So please help me out with that. Otherwise, comment, like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. I'm Jeff for the Weapon Collective, reminding you, keep your weapons collected and keep collecting your weapons. I'll catch you next time.